It's like, unless you get that text, the exchange sucks and it devastates your day. Unless you get this one specific kind of interaction that you've probably never been able to have with them before. It's just like, it feels like an impossible situation.
Hi, welcome back to Not For Everyone. We're a podcast about a hater and a lover talking. You come here, you get some words and you leave, and maybe you've learned something, maybe you've laughed, maybe you're mad at us, but something happens and then you're done, and then the hour passes. Hi, Caroline.
Hey girl, how are you? That was a wild intro.
We just spent forever figuring out like sound issues. There might also be background noise, just so that people know there's like massive construction projects happening at my building right now, so it might be kind of weird. But anyway, I'm already loopy from our 30 minutes pre-recording, so that's what you get for an intro today. I felt like I described us perfectly.
I think you did. No, you did describe us perfectly. Yeah, you did a great job. I've never felt so bullied by a microphone and a pair of Bluetooth AirPods that were not cooperating. I mean, technology was really bullying us for the last couple of minutes. So
AirPods are the real bullies. Do your AirPods ever do the thing where like they're literally in the other room in their case closed, and they connect beeping to whatever you're listening to? Like, I'll be listening to music or be on a call for work on my laptop, and it's playing out loud, like from the laptop. So, and then all of a sudden I can't hear people anymore. And it's because my AirPods decided to connect from the case from my bedroom.
They're closed? No. Yes. That's what people are talking about when they're like, AI is going to start making like conscious choices. It's happening, and it's just AirPods connecting to shit on their own will.
They're not invited.
Done that. No. Also, they do totally fall out of my ear. I feel like they fit in my ears for like several months, and then all of a sudden it's making me feel kind of weird and self-conscious about my ear hole size. Like, I feel like I've got probably in the spectrum of ear holes, I probably fall somewhere in the medium hole range.
Sure. That's been my observation. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, based on what you've tasted. I don't think they're the biggest. I don't think they're the smallest, but like, it's like I can't get an AirPod to fucking fill my ear hole.
Wow. I mean, is that the problem? That
make me sound like a slut?
Well, no, that's like symbolic of these tech titans who are comparing dick size basically right now. Like, the AirPods aren't big enough, and neither is, who's the guy who runs Apple now? Because it's not Steve Jobs anymore, obviously. Whatever. His dick.
Cook? Is it a cook? Is it
Cook? Sometimes people write into the podcast and they write kooks as cooks. I think just some of our international listeners probably, which I love that we even can say we have international listeners. So I'm not shading them. Freaking love it. My parents' second language is English. I got you. You're fine. It's confusing that kook starts with K.
My first language is English, and I don't want to talk to you about how I had to Google the word undoubtedly the other day. So
oof, that's a tough one. Yeah, it's a cruel language. It's a cruel world. AirPods are cool. Speaking also of like your ear size, it made me think of
I wanted to go back to that. I wanted to go back to how big you think they are.
Well, no, it just made me think of like the ways that my body is failing me lately.
Totally. Tell me.
I am currently wearing compression socks that go like up to my knees for the first time in my life, because my body is failing quickly. Like, red alert, something's wrong. I got a massage yesterday. Actually, I have like a tip for everyone, which is don't get a bikini wax and a massage on the same day. Like, I've been beat up everywhere.
I would not think, I was gonna say, I would not think there's much of overlap in the Venn diagram of the massage and the bikini wax unless you're getting a very deep massage. But you're just saying your body's beat.
My body's it was beat before, and now it's beat afterwards. I do prefer like a deep tissue massage, since I do a lot of strength training. Like, I don't want them just rubbing lotion on me.
Oh, hard agree, but like, they shouldn't be getting to the vulva.
She wasn't getting to the vulva, but it was between the bikini wax that like is ripping at my vulva for 10 minutes to then going to a massage right after, and like getting my legs stretched out. Like, my hips were really tight, so she wasn't only massaging, she was like moving them in like a counterclockwise circle like 3 times. It was really good. But my whole body from vulva to tippy toes and up
was beat by strangers, was beat by fucking strangers
all in one day. You'd think that it was like getting all your self-care done in the same day.
Dude, stop fucking calling massage self-care. Stop fucking calling waxes self-care unless we're also it is an identical experience as far as I'm concerned to like wearing corsets, unless we want to call wearing corsets self-care. Like, it's not fucking self-care, and it drives me crazy every time I walk by European Wax Center and they're always pitching it that way.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most painful thing I've done in my life. And I'm not enlightened beyond wanting a hairless baby's body. Of course, that's what I want.
I want to look prepubescent.
I'm a weak woman, but
I know.
I mean,
I know you don't believe me.
Let's at least own up to the ways we're torturing ourselves and it's not even all. I'm not even going to say it's all for the male gaze, because it's not. I also just like why am I fucking dealing with armpit hair ever for a day? Like, why?
Right.
But
yeah, it's really not.
It hurts me.
It's really not all for the male gaze, although it definitely, I would say, like, my entry point into
male gaze.
Right. The first time I ever wanted to remove hair from my body, it was for the male gaze. But then once I started doing it, I was like, oh, actually, this also makes me feel kind of cleaner. Like, I like it and prefer it too. But the first time I ever walked into a European Wax Center, yeah, I didn't know yet what that experience was like. So I didn't know I was going to personally like it. I just went because that's what I thought you do to like be sexy or something.
I just think that they should be legal. I know I can't stop talking about lasering, but I just don't know why. I'm trying to spread the gospel of lasering to people. It will cost you less than 2 years of shaving with razors. It will cost you less than a year of waxing. It does not hurt nearly. It's not even comparable.
Interesting.
The pain level, and it's forever.
We need to talk about it more, because even though everything that we just said about waxing is true, like, I agree with you, even though I've been brainwashed to think it's self-care, it's not really. It's a painful experience, but I do look forward to it because I like the result so much compared to what I did before, which was shaving. And like, I had so many bumps. We've talked about this before. But I bet I would feel that way times 5 or something if I started doing laser. I don't know what's stopping me. It's just like I'm in my routine and I'm like, this is that time every month when I am in pain for 10 minutes and then it feels amazing afterwards.
Well, I guess maybe it hasn't gotten that bad for you. It was so bad for me. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast or not, but I told you I was taking shots in the parking lot of European Wax Center in order to go in, because it was just so painful to me, and I feel like I have a very high pain tolerance generally. Something about it didn't connect. Did not connect. I would take shots to go in a little bit drunk, and that really helped. And then eventually I saw myself drunk in the parking lot of a European Wax Center and I was like, I wonder if there's another way.
There has to be an alternative to this.
Wonder if there's another way.
I'm
about wrapping up my however many sessions of waxing and
or lasering, you mean?
Lasering, oh my god, please. I don't know, I just recommend it to everyone. Highly recommend.
This is what you're gonna get on this podcast, is just 2 sides of a debate that doesn't really matter and is extremely personal to each person. You're gonna get the argument for both sides of it. I
would say, like reflecting on myself in this conversation, we've had so many highly personal debates on this podcast on like really important topics, and I think I'm the most emotional about this one. I basically don't accept that other people will continue to wax. I don't accept it. I don't accept it, and I kind of feel like I'm gonna cry talking about it. Like, I'm upset.
You leave space for everything about me that is different from you, except the fact that I
waxing.
get bikini waxes.
Yeah, except for the way that you remove hair from your body.
It's offensive. I get it. Maybe that's part of the reason I keep doing it, is I just want to keep some spice in our relationship.
I was gonna say, I want to say keeping the spice there. I think growing up. No, I'm not growing up, but I am growing older.
Getting older
is
sure.
a lot of realizing like the weird tricks you have to do to keep things sexy. Totally. And one of them is continuing and never ending debate about body hair removal between the two of us, so that this can be a sexy podcast. Yeah.
That would be such a good segue into our first what to do. But I feel like you have something. Should we just do it? Yeah. Tell us later about your other thought that you had that, like, we'll get to it. Okay.
Totally.
Totally. Yeah, we're doing what to do. What to do-dos. What to go back in time and just let people know, if you're new to the podcast and haven't binged everything, we call these episodes what to do because apparently whenever we approach like listener DMs, I can't talk and my words just like fall over, like my tongue just stops working. And one time I said what to do, but it actually came out what to do. That's the nomenclature. Get on board with it.
And it felt fitting because although these are it's kind of like our episodes where it gets advice podcasty, it's not Dear Abby. It's not good advice. Like, I have to say this every time. There might be some good advice that gets in there, but right. I'm not a dating pro. I'm not a living pro. I'm not a friend pro. I just think of it as like, if you want to hear what we would most likely do in this situation as a friend, we'll share what we would most likely do. And as I think is like true for anytime you ask advice from someone, like, consider the source. Mm-hmm. Do you, like, it might be interesting to hear this person's opinion, but that doesn't mean you necessarily want to follow it. That doesn't mean it necessarily sits right with you. Maybe you just take a piece of it. So I'm never answering this in the tone of like, I have the answer. Never what to do. It's more like what to do. And right. Yeah, it's what Perfectly I might said. Do. It's what I might do. Yeah.
Totally. It's not even, you mentioned like it might be what we do. It also might not be what we do in the situation.
Might just be what I say. Sometimes I say right. Stuff.
We all say stuff that's not what we do. And I would call that what to do. So without further ado, we were just talking about keeping it sexy. Our first what to do is kind of like an adjacent topic there. So
Jess is so horny for a segue. I've never met anyone hornier for a segue.
It just, when I listen to all my favorite podcasts and they don't actually, very often they're not effortlessly segueing, but they're like inserting an ad in the middle to make it feel like, okay, now a break. And when we get back, I just crave a segue. I'm like, we're not doing that yet. So until we do, we're going to transition seamlessly. It's just something that gets me going.
That's funny. Okay. I allow it. Don't relate. I allow.
Thank you. All right. Somebody wrote in, my boyfriend and I have been dating for almost 2 years. When we started dating, we were going on all kinds of different adventures and exploring places we haven't been before. In the last couple of months, we faded out of the honeymoon phase. And since then, all he wants to do is sit around the house. How do we keep things exciting? And how do I get him out of the house? Help, please. All right. Loaded. I have so many reactions. I also relate. I also, like, I understand. I've been there before. Do you want to say some things first?
Sure. Yeah. So many different reactions. I think everyone relates to this. I've been in that relationship before. It's like a standard phase, I feel like, right. For most people. Currently, in my very, very new relationship, I would say we're very much in a honeymoon phase. Also, Justin, first of all, he's listening to this episode. Bitch is so fucking active. Like, I'm the lazy one. And I can be a real lazy piece of shit. Bitch is so active. I don't even know if this will ever really be an issue, but regardless, I felt this in past relationships before. And I guess I mean, a couple different things, but at first when you're like, how do I get him out of the house? I would just say, like, say something you want to do, like take the initiative. I'm not even a big planner, but if I'm feeling like, things would feel more fun if we were doing something, then just be like, this is the thing I want to do. I feel like I mean, just, getting straight to the action, I'd be like, let's go get a drink and get this place. And if he shuts it down, then you like propose a different thing. And if it's a pattern of him like shutting things down, like 2 or 3 in a row, then I would be like, okay, so the deeper thing that I'm trying to get at here is that like why do you want to go do a bunch of things? I think then you can share, like, first just offer a plan. And if he's like really not being amenable to that, then I would go into like why it's important to you. And the answer probably is because like you want to feel connected and excited. It's all like the truth is always really something, it's very complimentary.
You want to spend time with them in this way.
Yeah. I want to like have our like exciting, fun, adventurous, spicy moments with you. It's a huge compliment. And this is how I'm thinking of doing that. And first of all, when you said like, how is anyone going to respond badly to that? Like, you want them, you want to spend like fun time with them. It's a compliment. And then you can hear maybe there's some other reason that they're shooting those things down. And then you can start getting to the truth and like bridge the gap there. Or if I've also been in a relationship where they're just like, they really don't care what you want. And that's a pretty important answer. But
yeah.
I would just start like, how do we get out of the house? Start planning shit.
Yeah. Agree. And also, I wonder if you already feel like you do all the planning. And so maybe part of the question is like, he never wants to do anything. He never wants to get out of the house. I end up planning it and making it happen anytime that we do. And that's part of what's frustrating me. I'm just elaborating here because that's something that I feel like is really relatable to me and a situation I've found myself in before of like, I'm the active one in a lot of my interpersonal relationships. I'm the one that's always like, let's go to this comedy show. Let's go to this bar. And I'm the planner. And so like, even if my partner would very well want to do those things, they might have gotten accustomed to the fact that Jess is going to plan it. Jess has what we're doing this weekend. Jess probably has something in mind that she's excited about. And they're happy to like be the supporting character and go to the things that I want to go to. And that's nice to a certain point. And then it becomes like, okay, I'm putting in all the effort to make the plans, but that's almost not even their fault a lot of the times because like I'm not leaving space for them to do it. I've just taken that role and they don't know that I'd be happy for them to share that role.
And so I think feel like someone who seems to love doing it as the lazy person, I will say it's easy to assume. I do try to stay conscious of like, I need to plan like one of every 4 things. Like I've talked with Justin, he likes planning things. I'm like, that's fucking perverted, but okay, I'll let you have it. But I still stay conscious of like some kind of ratio. But I think it's also easy to just assume Jess loves planning it, so I'm going to let her do it. But it still does take effort from you. So like maybe, however you communicate that, like, it actually would be nice to see them put in the effort. Yeah, because some people might make that assumption wrongly.
Exactly. Yeah, it could be like a subconscious thing happening where they're just like in this pattern with you, comfortable with you. You've been together for 2 years and they're like, this is the way it always is. And it's working for me because I don't like doing those things and she does. So to actually be able to pinpoint that if it is what's happening and communicate it to them and explain why it would make you feel loved for them to plan something or whatever it would make you feel that you're craving. I feel like that's always a good way to open those conversations with your partner because it's like, yeah, it's a way that they can show you affection that maybe they haven't been. And I also agree with like, if that's not what's happening, then of course, speak your mind, find things that you want to do, suggest things. You can also do that more subtly. Of course, I don't want to encourage like being passive aggressive, but there's little ways that you can hint, like something that I've done before is just be like, oh, I like got this new outfit and I really want to go out. Like I'm craving going out and getting dressed up and I want to wear this new outfit. And that's like a little subtle hint if you don't feel like coming out and asking for them to plan something to be like, I don't know, I want to go on a date with you. Like, plan something so I can wear my cute outfit, whatever
You know
feels true
what's
to you.
funny? I was just talking to a friend about this, how I feel like things like that, where you're like kind of hinting at something and maybe not being super, super direct. I think it's more acceptable than I used to think that it was. I think it's actually kind of more important than I used to think that it was. Something about it feels like, I think something about it feels like 50s housewifey. But
Totally.
I think there's, I don't know, I don't quite have the words for it. But
there's something to making someone think that it was their idea. I'll just say it. Like, not always, not in every situation. And I'm like such a proponent of direct communication, but sometimes hinting and being subtle gives them the opportunity. It gives them the opportunity to do something for you, as opposed to you asking for it directly and then them giving it to you and then you kind of being like, well, I asked them directly. Like, if you hint and they piece it together, they can still feel really good about the fact that they like did that for you and you didn't have to directly ask, but you still like made your intention known. It's a very subtle, it's almost like a power dynamic.
There are some weird fucking games that I think are okay games. And one of them, it really is like on this topic of like getting too comfortable with each other. It's funny because I feel like the main things that people want in a relationship, like we all want like this place we feel so safe and so comfortable and so known and so at ease, but we also really want like the spice and the heat and the fire. And I do think that those are directly at odds with each other. I think that they are. I think that you reach middle age and you have like a lot of one or the other. And ideally, we all want a mix of both. But I think it's so funny because I don't think in the past I would have been like, I remember my aunt, I can't even really want to say this. I have an aunt who was like, you should be able to take a shit in the same room as your partner. And I was like, oh, I was just like an impressionable young child. And I was like, that's really interesting. I'm 11. Like, what an interesting form of intimacy. And I think I just kind of took her word for it because she actually has a really good relationship with her husband. And then as I got older, I'm like, no, I want to preserve a lot of mystery. Like, it's in the mystery that things are sexy. That's all like the early honeymoon or courting or dating is like so much that you don't know. So much that you have to wonder. It's not sitting staring at each other on the couch watching each other get undressed and dressed every morning. Like, there's a lovely intimacy to that. And I also love that. But I think you have to be careful with it. I think it's okay. I guess it depends on what you value most. But to me, it feels okay more and more to be like, I'm going to cap that off at a certain point and make sure that we don't know every single thing about each other, because that's the space in which you get to covet each other. Like, one of the hottest things, if you're looking to revive a relationship, is like being out in public, you know, at a bar, at a party with friends in a group, and getting to watch other people enjoy your person, laugh at their jokes, fucking undress them with their eyes, like ogle them a little bit. It's very, it really like lights something up. In a certain space within like reason, you know. And I think it turns everyone on, and you just forget about it if you're just sitting at home on the couch all together all the time. um I think it's like we really all want to be so comfortable and so safe, but I think if you want the fire, you have to dose it out intentionally.
Yeah. I think that's well put. Like, it is this thing that's at odds because and I think everyone has a different ratio of like stability and calm and predictability to fire and spontaneity that they need. I mean, we've talked about that when it comes to like our social lives and how we build our weeks with like nights to ourselves, nights with our friends, nights with our partners, whatever. It's kind of a similar thing. It's like nights where you don't have any plans and it's up to the universe what you end up doing, and nights that are more like planned and you've been looking forward to. Like, that balance is a little bit different for everyone. And I think it becomes hard when like 80% of what you want is the stability and the comfort and the predictability, and only 20% is the fire, because then you and your partner in this scenario get really used to the 80% and you're happy with it most of the time.
Also,
and
it's
then
easier. It's just literally easier. It's the
yeah
same as like when you're single and trying to make new friends. Every time Friday night comes around, it is easier. Like the immediate thing I want to do is sit at home, whether I'm in a couple or not. The immediate thing I want to do is be home. It's easier. I like to do what I like to do. It's much harder to like go out and organize an evening and go through, but I think it's the same. It's like one of those things that's good for your health. And in the short term, like going to the gym, like eating well, like working on your social life, like working on your spontaneous romantic fire life, it like is a little less convenient in the short term, but I think you benefit from it long term.
Yep. Another thing that is adjacent to this, but I think it's related, because she talked about being like out of the honeymoon phase at this point and missing the adventure. Okay, I'm just going to make it a little bit about sex for a second, because I also think that like you can get really in your routine with sex with a partner after 2 years, and sometimes people are craving like switching it up, but you've been doing it this way and it works and it's good and like no complaints, but it's also not anything new, and it's not something that maybe you're like chomping at the bit for the way you were when you first got together. And so it's really hard to like introduce new ways of doing it or talk about like, I'd like to try this thing. And something that my previous favorite podcast, I listen to it less now, but I still think it's a good one, Girls Gotta Eat, always says it's about sex and dating and relationships. They're like, say to your partner, I heard about this thing on a podcast. Like if you feel uncomfortable just coming out and saying, I want to switch things up in this way, whether it's about sex or it's about like the way that you guys live your lives and the dates that you go on and whatever, blame it on something that you saw online, blame it on a podcast. If you feel shy about it, be like, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about this and it made me think about us. Like it could help you couch your fear about bringing these things up. That's just, there's probably other ways to do that too, but it's something that's helped me actually in like expanding my experience and my boundaries when it comes to keeping relationships fiery. It was like, oh, I heard about this thing and I don't know, is that kind of weird? Like it kind of interested me. And then if you're with somebody who wants to make you happy and fulfilled and cares about, you know, trying things with you, then they should make you feel comfortable once you've done that. So that's another little tidbit.
Also, when you say like, oh, not to make this about sex, to me, I'm like, this question, this listener question, this is about sex. Like it's all related to sex. If I think it's very much related to like, oh, we want to spice up our sex life, you know, things have plateaued or grown stagnant. I think it starts with like adding mystery about each other, sitting on the couch less with each other, like going out into a new environment and almost like forcing a little distance in some way. Even if it's distance, just like we're at a bar and we have to like watch each other be in a group at a bar and like not manhandle each other because we're at a bar, and it like starts to build something, and like that comes into the bedroom. I think it's I think spicing up, if the question is spicing up your sex life, I actually feel like it starts here too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's some like sex therapists and stuff that'll say that any problem like interpersonally that you're having with your partner, like in communication, in feeling connected and whatever, starts with like, look at your sex life and what's happening there. I don't know if that's fully true, but I do think that there's something to it.
I think the state, the state of the union of the bedroom is like a direct reflection, a very honest reflection of things. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions, but often, often, Okay.
That's a good segue.
Ooh, okay. To what? Freaking segue to what?
Well, there's another WHATADO that is a little bit like sillier and more fun and just made me like cackle when I read it. But I also think there's a conversation that can very briefly be had around it.
Oh, I know what that's gonna be. Yeah, let's fucking do it, dude.
All right. So we get this DM that just says in all caps, WHATADO. And then following that, it says, eye contact giving head. End of DM. That was it. That's all she wrote.
I'm gonna say not necessarily a question.
No.
Not sure who's the speaker here. Are you saying receiving the eye contact during head is a problem? Are you asking us how to do it more? I'm not. There's a lot of questions here that you have left unanswered, and so I'm not sure how to address. I'm just gonna say whatever comes to mind.
Right.
Jess is giggling.
Is the writer of the DM the one that's giving head? Are they the one that's receiving head? Are they initiating the eye contact? Are they receiving the eye contact and not knowing what to do in response to it? I'll say this right now.
Yeah.
Eye contact should happen during head. That's my stance, and I'm sticking with it.
That's her platform.
That's my platform in both directions. It makes it not like constant. Like, you don't need to be like fucking locking eyes the whole time, you weirdos. I just mean like some glances, some sexy glances. There's something to it.
Totally.
No?
Totally. Yeah. Listen, I don't like to give away too many of my secrets, but
sure. You just spoke about mystery, which I couldn't relate less to, but yeah.
I think there's times where eye contact is great, and then there are times when I'm specifically like no eye contact because I want to like let someone be in their world, kind of. Or I don't know, I think both. Yeah, I don't think nonstop eye contact.
No, I hope that that's not what this person was suggesting.
Can you imagine? But also the alternative, like, of no eye contact. It's funny to me that this is even a question. No eye contact.
I mean, it's not like it won't. I don't know. It depends, I guess. I guess my point is just you don't need to avoid it. Like, I don't think it's a weird thing that needs to be avoided. And if it happens, it's like, oh my God, how weird. Like, I actually think it can add to the vibe.
Yeah, it's like
in moments.
Dare. Yeah, right. It totally adds to the vibe.
But then
about sex now.
I know. But then other times I get what you're saying of like, you're just in your own, you're enjoying what you're experiencing, and you're just like, I don't know, you don't need eye contact, and so maybe your eyes are closed, maybe you're looking up, like maybe whatever you're doing.
Yeah, it's fun if they wrote also in about this. If they wrote in about this, I actually wonder if we should assume they're experiencing eye contact as a problem, like somebody is giving too much.
I assume so.
So this is when I think about like wanting to limit the eye contact. So I'm picturing somebody who's going down on you, and they are staring at you nonstop, like laser pointers at you. That would eventually feel intrusive. I would be like, first of all, I'm trying to focus. Trying to focus. I'm working on something right now, and it involves me forgetting that you're here a lot of the time. Like, for a lot of women, I do think this is true. A lot of women, like, all right, okay, generalizations, talking to men and women. I feel like for men, I think I've even talked to my boyfriend about this, but like for men, a lot of the time, it's like what gets them there is like with the physical, what's happening here now, audio, visual. And for a lot of women, it's like, I need to forget that anybody's here.
Yeah.
I need to completely disappear into the Aristocats, and then, or an episode of The Sopranos, and then we're good. And it has no reflection on how attracted I am to the situation. It's just like so emotional. It just has to be such a specific emotional dynamic. I think a lot of women kind of disappear mentally. So if you're staring me down, first of all, I like a glance or two, but if you're staring me down the whole time, I'm gonna be like, can you leave for a second? I'm actually working on something.
Okay, but also, yes, I agree. And totally,
I'm hot, like, dude, I'm immediately really overheated. I'm gonna take my sweater.
I totally agree with that, but I also think like nobody can force you to return eye contact. Your eyeballs are in your head, and you can.
Yeah, but if you know them, Steve, you know they're staring
at you.
Then I'm closing my eyeballs. Okay, wait. How do you say that? Then I'm closing my eyes, kind of in an act of rebellion, and then I'm thinking about. Then I'm thinking about the fact that I'm rebelling rather than the fact that
you're trying to come. Yeah.
And I'm fucking smushing like a slug. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fair. I guess I've never been in this situation. Now that we really break it down. Too much eye contact during.
I think it brings us back to, what is your fucking question? What is your question?
Yeah, write us back. Did we help? What did you want us to say?
What is your problem? What is the problem you find yourself in? What is the problem? What is the problem? Huh.
We'll never know. Yeah.
Okay. Next. I think we solved.
Do you want to do a break from WHATADOs? Do you want to keep going with WHATADOs? I feel like the energy's good.
Do we have another short one? Yeah, let's do another.
A little short one? Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. I mean, I have a lot to say about this, even though it's a short question.
Yeah.
WHATADO that, in parentheses, sensitive X, close parentheses, sending a birthday message when you're clearly having no contact. So I guess
your sensitive X has texted you
happy birthday. And it's like, we're not talking, bro. I'm just going to assume it's a dude. Right. Let's not shame dudes, by the way, for being sensitive, ma'am. Like, come on. We love a sensitive. I'm not a sensitive ex. Well, you're the sensitive man.
You're the one who said it's a dude. They didn't say it's a dude.
Yeah, fair enough. But I'm just going with the narrative that I'm going to use to build out this answer.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, no, this applies to everyone. My strict policy, and I have a story to back it up, is don't text your ex happy birthday. And I know we've talked about 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋𝐀𝐈𝐌𝐿, and people, he gets like a mixed rating online about how we feel about him. But I do think that he has really good dating advice. And he literally has a book called Don't Text Your Ex Happy Birthday. I haven't read it. I don't read. But I think the title.
Read the title. I think the title fucking slaps. Yeah.
Fucking nailed it. My like very strong point of view on this is that it's always self-serving to text your ex happy birthday.
Oh my God, on their birthday, you're like, I'm gonna let me fucking throw this fucking drama down that you now have to deal with on your birthday. It's so selfish.
Even if you think you're on good terms, it's still like they have to think about you, and maybe they don't want to be thinking about you. Maybe you're giving them false hope. Maybe
it's just like raising their hand and being like, hey, what about me today? Hey, what do you think about me
today?
It's totally selfish.
Exactly. So, and I think this person agrees, because they framed it as like, when you're clearly having no contact. I mean, WHATADO, you don't answer. But it is annoying that they did that, because especially if you're in a situation where it's clear you haven't talked, like, there's a reason for that. I feel like their motive is either to get you to think about them sometimes, and I think men in particular tend to do this, but I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm sure women and everybody in any type of relationship have this in them too. Like, there's a tendency to want to come across like the good guy, like, oh, I might have broken up with you, or we might not be talking right now, or I might have fucked up or something, but I'm still the good one. I'm still a good person. I still love you. I'm saying happy birthday, whatever it is. And it's like, it's not about you. You're doing this to feel like the good guy. And that's not, it's my birthday.
Because if they actually were thinking about you and just caring about you, they could text you any other fucking day and like not color your birthday that way. They could just wait one more day or text it to you beforehand if they really have a reason they need to get in touch, like the actual considerate thing. Because like sometimes people do break up and get back together. The actual considerate thing is to like give this person their day, not make it about you, and like, maybe I can wait a fucking couple days to talk to them, or send it a week ahead of time. And also, I don't know, something that helped me, I think it was, I don't know where I heard this advice, but on the end of like, if you're asking the question, should I text my ex happy birthday? Like, thinking about, and I swear this relates to the person receiving the text as well, but if you're asking that question, should I text my ex happy birthday? Think about like, what is the response you could receive? You text them happy birthday. What is the response you could receive that would leave you feeling good about the interaction. It's usually like them saying one very specific emotional type of thing that they've never fucking been able to say before. And magically, they're going to come up with the perfect text. It's like, unless you get that text, the exchange sucks and it devastates your day. And or it devastates their day, unless you get this one specific kind of interaction that you've probably never been able to have with them before. And so on the receiving end too, you get this text from them and you're in the middle of an impossible situation. Like all of a sudden, yeah, kind of this immediate implication that you have to satisfy your sensitive ex or not sensitive. They've put something on you. The ball's in your court that you have to kind of serve this dynamic now. And it's probably impossible. You're broken up for a reason. You're not talking for a reason. It's just like, it feels like an impossible situation.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. As you were
just
speaking,
feels so immature. It's so fucking immature. I think the only other reason, sorry, I'm almost done. The only other reason that they would text on your birthday, if not trying to like make it about them, is just being like, oh, well, it's like it's a way to slide in. It's an excuse. I'm not talking to you just because, which like that also is immature. That they can't just be like on another day of the year, be like, I want to speak to you because I'm thinking about our relationship. It's fucking immature.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no notes as you were speaking, just about the piece where, you know, like what would be the best case scenario that you could get in response to this? And guess what? You've never had that type of interaction with this person. First of all, my therapist has burned that into my brain and it's so true. And you just nailed it there. And second of all, I was like, oh my God, this is the promo clip for the episode. Like that is something that everybody needs to remember, not just when they're considering texting an ex happy birthday, but just texting an ex in general. I mean, yes, agreed. Like if there's really something to talk about, then sure, there are reasons why you might reach out to an ex and avoid their birthday, but it's not like never ever do that. But more often than not, they're not going to give you what you're looking for. And it's just like, it just is what it is. I mean, you can test it. So my quick story,
we all do. Yeah.
Right. My quick story is when my longtime boyfriend of 5 years and I broke up, literally in our breakup conversation, because that was my first big breakup that I ever went through. And his birthday was like 2 or 3 weeks later. So in our breakup conversation, I was like, I hope that we can still text happy birthday. Like, I'm still going to say happy birthday to you if that's okay in 3 weeks or whatever. And he was like, yeah, of course. And I'm going to do that for you. And so, okay, breakup happens, devastation for the next couple weeks happens. I'm finally starting to feel better, but also in my head, I'm like, I know that I have this 3-week mark when I'm going to be able to text him because we said we'd say happy birthday. And I did text him happy birthday and said something nice. And in response, he said something, thank you, whatever. And he said, love you in the text. And it fucked me up for like 3 more months. Then it got to my birthday and I'm having a great day. My life is a lot better than it was. Like everything's on track, but I still have it in my head. Like, I think I'm going to hear from him today. Or what if I don't? And like, you've just set yourself up for this like unrealistic expectation. And if I do, what's he going to say? Finally, like late night that night, he texted me. He said, love you in the text again, which just like is so fucking, there was no chance we were ever going to get back together. Both of us knew that we shouldn't, but he still wanted to make sure in both of these exchanges, like I remember that he loves me and that we're good and like whatever, threw off my whole birthday. But if he hadn't texted me, I would have similarly been like, oh, but he didn't text me and I thought he would. Like there's just no winning unless you're very clear the whole time that we're not doing this. I'm not doing it. You're not doing it. Doesn't mean we'll never talk again. But the birthday text is too loaded and like there's no positive outcome.
Tanks you either way. That's why one of the best things that I did, and I was pushed to it, but blocking an ex's number, not because I was mad. And I would even tell him I was blocking his number. I didn't want it to be a surprise. I just didn't want to be afraid of my phone. Because when it becomes like volatile, or you're like, what am I gonna receive on my birthday? Or like what's gonna hit me? When am I gonna wake up to a mean text? When I'm gonna wake up to a loving text? Like I just didn't want to be bracing for it all the time. And so for that reason, blocking someone's number, here's my fucking email. If something important happens, like if something significant happens, you can get in contact with me. But you have to like put more thought into it. And it's not, you can just send a text from the hip,
right,
really thoughtlessly. And I didn't want to be afraid of my phone. I'm like always bracing for something. And yeah, that's how you can feel going into your birthday. So just go like, go into your birthday. I don't really think about this shit anymore, but it's a birthday near the breakup and you don't want to have to be thinking about it. Block their number. And then
right.
exactly what's going to happen. You're not going to get anything. But do you
I'm
want to do
gonna
your
try to
tangent
play it.
first? You want to do your tangent first? Did you have a tangent you want to do?
Oh, I feel like I can do it after. I feel like we're on a roll with WHATADO, so it might be weird at this point.
Okay.
And I feel like there's been enough light moments in them, but what do you want to break it up?
No, I'll feel good.
Okay. Cool. Let me try to open this. All right. So, final WHATADO for the episode. This person actually sent us a reel that I'm going to try to play, and it said, "What to do when your friends do this to you." So give me a sec.
You just need to learn to be alone first. Oh, I'm so glad I'm in a relationship. I could never do the whole dating thing. Good luck, though. You need to stop being so picky. Nobody's perfect. Why do you want to be in a relationship so bad? It's like overrated. Like, take it from me. I've been in a relationship for 6 years. Are you?
Okay, I think we get the point. If I need to like overlay that audio and do it later, I can do that. So basically, this person is single, I'm assuming, has friends who are in relationships. And whenever it comes up, like, how do I meet some? Maybe they ask for advice, maybe they don't ask for advice, and their friends are just like spewing this type of commentary their way. But either way, their friends who are in relationships make them feel just like unsupported, not understood, saying things like, oh, when I was in a relationship, or oh, I could never, or sorry, oh, when I was single, I could never have been on the apps, or I don't know, these like tropes that actually do happen.
Telling you why you're single, telling you why it's your fault. It's very condescending. I will say I experienced that a lot as a single person. I don't think people realized they were doing it. But I really, and I wasn't even craving being in a relationship. It was like I was not craving being in a relationship, but I felt all the time this attitude that like I don't even think people would realize that they felt or communicated this, but that like by the virtue of them being in a relationship, they were more mature. Or by the virtue of them being in a relationship and me not, they had figured out something that I hadn't figured out. Whereas like most of these people's relationships are fucking gross to me. Didn't respect them. I felt more mature than them in plenty of ways, but there's this implication, even without, I don't know, people are always telling you how you can achieve their relationship. And I'd be like, why the fuck would I want your relationship? Your relationship is so weird. And I really did feel like sometimes it got to me too. Sometimes it made me feel like I didn't have the answers just because I hadn't met the right person. But you might actually be dating like so much more successfully as a single person than they ever were able to. They just like settled down with somebody. And instead, like to me, successful dating, like dating successfully includes like saying no to the wrong people, like saying no, shutting them down, going on a bunch of dates that don't pan out, and not like dating wrongly, immaturely is just like latching on to someone because you went on a date and you could date and you could be a couple, so you do the couple thing. But there's a high and mightiness that I get a lot of the time from people in relationships, like most people. And it also really beat down my confidence sometimes. And one of the nicest things my sister actually ever said to me, I like really needed to hear this at one point. She was like, oh, I don't feel like you're not ready. Yeah, people like to say this, you're not ready to be in a relationship, because I think they want to put logic to why they're with someone and you're not. And they feel so bad for you. And she was like, oh, I don't feel like you're not ready to be in a relationship. I think you're totally ready. I think you just haven't met the person.
Right.
And that was so meaningful to hear. And I was like, that is fucking true. Of course I'm fucking ready to be in a relationship. And it's just not with, then it's a numbers game at some point.
Yeah, there is this notion, and I don't just think it's your friends who are in relationships, but I think it's like perpetuated online, that if you're single, you should be working on yourself. And like, there's a reason that you're still single. And it's because there's more work to do on yourself individually that you couldn't possibly do in a relationship. And so you're likely not ready yet, and all of this stuff. And like, I just think it's so far from the truth. It is totally more about just when you meet somebody that's
numbers game,
worthwhile for you to
numbers
be in a
game.
relationship with, like totally numbers game and timing. You don't stop learning about yourself, hopefully, when you're
you
in a
don't stop
relationship.
working on yourself. So much of the
Right.
work on yourself you actually have to do in a relationship.
Exactly. So I really hate that notion. And I do think it's like an easy cop out for people to lean on when you haven't even asked them for their opinion, but they just give it to
you
you.
haven't even fucking asked them. I was never
know.
being like, why am I single? I was like, I love being single.
People have such a tendency.
They're so weird about it because people can't imagine anyone having anything other than their exact lifestyle or something.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. People have such a tendency. I liked when you talked about that, to think just they can't see outside themselves, and they just think, oh, I have this, and so this must be what everyone else wants.
Also,
and
everyone's trying to justify their own life choices to themselves all the time.
Deep insecurity.
I mean, it's insecurity. It's like what everyone's doing all the time. It's what I'm
all
doing
of us
on this podcast.
Yeah.
We're all doing it.
Deep insecurity that we all have. Exactly. Like, it's not these people's fault. It's like extremely human, but it is totally like wanting to justify, oh, I'm better off because I found a person and they haven't found one yet. And like, even if it's not perfect, at least I have one, at least I have someone. And yeah, it's my worst fear to come across this way as a friend on the podcast. Like, I'm sure I have unintentionally. I think it's like it just happens and it sucks and you hope not to. And some people are worse about it than others, but I'm sure I have. But it is something I'm like extremely conscious of, because I don't think that we should be selling. I don't think we as people, like not just people on a podcast, should be selling our lives as like the be all end all. I don't think that we should be acting like just because we have a certain thing, whether it's the relationship or the job or the apartment or house or whatever aspect of your life you think you've like reached the pinnacle on. I don't think we should be acting like there's a pinnacle and there's like an end to the work and the learning and the trying and the failing and the whatever. And it just really like revs my engine to think about these types of people, to think about the fact that I've been that person probably. It can be hard, like now that we're both in relationships, and so much of what we talk about on the podcast, it has been dating, and there's learnings from relationships too, but it's so much more personal and hard to figure out exactly how and when to talk about it. But I want to, because I want to make clear that just because we happen to be in relationships doesn't mean that like we have the answers. Like, anytime that we're answering a question about somebody being single, dating, getting out there, whatever, like that's playing in the back of my mind. I'm so conscious of like not being the person in a relationship who's giving the annoying advice to the single person. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Is
there anything else to say about that? I don't know. I'm really sorry that happens. It sucks. We've all felt it.
I mean, I would say, like, if you're asking actionably, what do you do with that dynamic? I've definitely experienced that with people, and then it just teaches me, now I don't share with you. I don't share. Then you're that person, like, I don't share about my dating life with you. Then I don't share about my relationship with you because you've shown me you can't be trusted with it. You can't be trusted to like really hear whatever the fuck I'm saying or where I am, or to see anything other than like a projection of yourself. So cool, you've built some distance between us and you're not a person I share with anymore. Like, I don't trust you with my information. And I think I just start shutting down. and take some distance. And if they bring it up somehow, you can also bring it up to them and be like, hey, I assume you don't know how you're coming off, but just so you know, when you say these things to me, it sounds like this, makes me feel like this, and it hurts and it makes me not want to share my life with you. What can you say to that? Like, that's just the truth. And you can let them know or not. I think usually I'm just like, oh, this is not a person I like to talk to about this stuff anymore. Yeah, they haven't earned it.
Yeah, I would agree with that approach. I think I had a thought and it left me, but I agree. Like, you have to kind of stick up for yourself. And I think the other thing, this is what my thought was, is to remind yourself of what Caroline said before, which is probably true if you did some digging. Like, very often the relationship that that person has, the life that they have, the life that they're building towards looks different than what you would want yours to look like. Maybe surface level, they have the so-called things that you want, a partner and a whatever, marriage, kids, whatever, wherever they're at, but probably beneath the surface, like what that relationship actually is and what their dynamic is. And just think about the person and how you're different from that person. Like, you want and need different things. And so, I don't know, you probably already know that when you're in this situation, and that makes it all the more frustrating that they can't recognize that. But just remind yourself and be like solid in the fact that they're projecting and you don't necessarily want what they want, and like they're the ones in the wrong. They're the ones that can't see that. They're trying to make it like they're all high and mighty, but actually you're probably, if you have this awareness, like you're a little bit more advanced
it's
than
so
they
unwise.
are in this way.
It's so unwise and so unkind of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I used to feel a similar thing with, I can't tell if the person writing in about this like feels really down about being single or not, or if people are just projecting onto them. But if you are also feeling down about it, yeah, it's a numbers game. I think I used to feel a similar thing like with friends. There were some periods of my life where just socially I was really lonely. And so I used to just be like, oh, that's how I am. That's who I am. I'm not friendable. I'm a loner. I'm a lonely person. That's my identity. And then I just ended up in different contexts, different environments where it was really easy to make friends and I could make friends. And it was such a funny and extreme switch to be like, sometimes you're just not in a place where you can make friends easily, or you're just not in a place where you can date easily. And I think when your confidence is being beat down, then yeah, you start to internalize it as there's something wrong with you. But it's funny to give that advice because you also want to do a lot of self-reflection in case there probably are things you can change and improve and try differently. I think there always are for everybody, but yeah, I don't know. What am I saying? Let's move on.
Yeah. I think we crushed it. Okay.
Wow.
That's the end of WHATADOs. Let me go to my notes and see what I wanted to say.
Is it a light thing?
I think so.
Cool.
Yes. Okay. Talked about that. Okay. I have a complaint. It's been a little minute, I think, since I've shared a true complaint. I don't think it's petty. I think it's exactly what ruins my day every single day. And it is that there is perpetually a smudge on every single pair of glasses or sunglasses that I own. And no matter how many times I use the microfiber fucking towelette thing, I cannot get this one smudge in this one spot out. And it will ruin a day. I can't stand it. Why does this happen? Do you have answers?
I literally have been thinking about this like a week ago. I was like, why haven't they come out with a smudge proof glasses? Like, they have glare proof, they have blue light proof. Why isn't there just a fucking smudge proof glasses so I can see through the thing I need to see through? And it also gets me thinking about like, God, it's gotta suck to have glaucoma or something where you like you're losing your vision. I don't know if that's what happened with glaucoma, but like, you're losing your vision. I'm looking through these glasses or these sunglasses. I feel like I can't see half the time. And it's like, that was your job. I really agree. I'm cleaning them all day and they're always dirty.
It's gotten to the point where I would rather, like, when I'm laying in bed at night watching Love Island and I have my glasses, I've taken out my contacts, which are also fucked up and smudgy and hurt my eyes and have their own issues with them.
What's wrong with us recently? I'm also experiencing these issues.
Okay. I'm decaying. Like, my eyes are decaying quickly. And I think it's because of looking at screens probably, but that's what the glasses are supposed to fix. So anyway, at the end of the night, I take out my contacts, I put in my glasses, I'm laying in bed watching Love Island, and I would rather take my glasses off and watch it blind and just like enjoy the auditory experience of these islanders arguing with each other, because I just cannot to stick it to your glasses. My glasses.
Yeah, you show them.
Yeah. Thank you.
I agree. I'm angry. Thanks. I'm angry, and it's one of those things where there's actually no one I can be mad at.
Yeah, so, am I mad at myself because like supposedly I can safely assume, I think, that like when I bought the glasses, they didn't have that smudge, so I must have been the one to smudge them.
Are you saying there's a permanent smudge, or you're saying I'm saying my glasses just always seem smudged and maybe I get them clean for 2 seconds? You're saying maybe you've damaged your glasses.
No, I think it just feels like the smudge that it just feels like there's a smudge that I can't get out that's always in the same spot.
That is quite poetic, and let's dig into that. The smudge she can't get out, damn spot.
Wow, that actually made me feel better about it, because at least it can be art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no solving it, but I would like to know, is it my fault? Is it the glasses? It just helps to know that I'm not alone. That's really the goal here of this podcast.
You're not alone. I'm also upset, and I also can't see.
It's really, the loudness is happening outside, so I wonder if you have.
Can't hear it.
Oh, okay, good.
Cannot hear it.
You also said earlier that you had something to share.
Oh yeah, it's not as silly, it's not as bippity bop, but it is relationship themed.
Okay, we can try it, or if you want to save it, I can look for another bippity bop, because I might have one.
Okay, let me think. Let me think if I can do a bippity bop. No, I would be happy to share something.
Okay, I'd love that.
I've been doing something recently where I feel like this applies to dating as much as in relationships. Stop me if I've already definitely talked about this.
Okay.
But I'm like in like it's not a full anxiety spiral with my boyfriend, hey Justin. But it's like it's a light mini one that I basically intentionally put myself in, because something came up in conversation that I knew we'd have different opinions on. And the content of it itself doesn't really matter that we have different opinions on it. It was more one of these moments where I was like, I cannot say my opinion, which would also be fine, except that I wouldn't be like bringing myself to this relationship fully. Or I can like knowingly and willingly walk forward and saying how I feel and knowing we're going to disagree. And it won't be a fight, because we don't really fight over stuff like that. I mean, we haven't fought. I think we're good at disagreeing, but it makes me a little uncomfortable to share something that I know isn't going to naturally sit well, but I'm like choosing to do it. When it comes up, I choose to do it because I don't want to feel resentment for like not sharing myself. And I don't want to have all these parts of myself that I can't share. So I don't know. It's a weird thing where I was like, okay, I'm going to share my opinion, and I know we're not going to feel the same. And then that's going to make me feel a little anxious, because what does it mean if we have different opinions? And it's funny, it's like it's the thing I keep choosing when it comes up, or like a less sensitive, like a more superficial version. It's like giving yourself the opportunity, I guess it's vulnerability. Giving yourself the opportunity to be seen also means giving yourself the opportunity to be rejected.
Yeah.
And you have to choose it. Otherwise, you can go really far along in a relationship of any kind, where you just like never really let them get to know you. And if you don't let them get to know you, you can be like falling in love with somebody because you're getting to know them, and you get really far in, and then you realize you haven't even really shown them who you are. So of course you can't feel known because you haven't given them the chance. And so it's, I don't know, it's all these instances, whether in dating or in a relationship, where you have to, I feel like I'm like willingly choosing to like walk down the plank. And it's a funny thing. Or like a more concrete, superficial version. This was like a few weeks ago, but I like sometimes like write really like kind of silly or like weird poems. It just like comes out of me sometimes. And I wrote this one about a rat. I wrote this one about this dead rat in the like alley near my apartment. And I was gonna send it to Justin, and then I was like, I don't really think he's gonna like care for this poem. I don't think he's gonna be like tickled by it, or I don't know. I just like, I decided in my head I knew how he felt about this rat poem. And so I was like, so I'm not gonna send it. But it was something I was sending to everybody else. I was saying to my friends, or I posted about it on Instagram, and like, people think it's funny or whatever. And so I was like, ugh, I have to send this. I have to send this, even if it's so that, even if it's so he hates it or he doesn't like it, or like I sent it kind of assuming it wasn't going to be a point of connection, but sending it anyway because like it's a point of me. And these moments of like choosing to show who you are, even though you might know like you don't connect on everything.
Yeah.
But like choosing putting that out there rather than just like hiding parts of yourself all the time. Does this make sense?
It does make sense.
Am I saying anything? Am I sounding so dumb?
No, you're saying like what the hardest part of relationships is, I think, is like, okay, cool. We decided that we're attracted to each other. We have fun with each other. Like the good times are nice. All the things are there for like the fun and the lightness and the play. But like, do you actually know me? And am I going to let you know me? And
yes. Yeah.
that takes time. And it also takes you letting them in and you showing them those pieces of yourself that are weird or are not for everyone. Or
like, look at this one. Look at this thing. Come over here. Check this fucking thing out.
I'm ridiculous. Doing it all the time. But it's interesting because I think different people have different like propensities for that. Like I have a thing where I cannot not do that. And I do it. Like I've been doing it from day one. Yeah. And I still though have the reaction sometimes that you're describing where like I'll really send it and I'll really be myself and I'll do some weird bit and like voice and like act out of something. And then I'm like, and it'll even get a good response. But I still afterwards will think to myself like, oh, should I not have done that? Like, was that too weird? Maybe he just laughed because he was trying to make me feel good, but like deep down he thought that was weird or whatever. I still will keep doing it because I just have this compulsion to like, I don't know, like be as open, be an open book. Like it just is the way I've always been and I don't know how to stop it. And I think that's like a great thing. I think it's a great thing about me, but I also think it's like, but I still have this like sense of maybe I shouldn't, maybe that was unattractive. Maybe he like really doesn't get that. And then what happens next? And on the flip side,
then you get to find out if that's the right person for you. Like,
true.
I think this is like the difference between like, is something you do weird or is it cute? It just like depends how the person basically already feels about you. Yeah. Like, yeah, probably someone will think it's unattractive. You think people don't think things are unattractive about me all the time? Yeah, I don't date them. Like like you'll find out important information. Yep. This thing that's core to me and it's important to me. Like I understand these things intellectually. That's why I'm forcing myself to do it. But my instinct is so the opposite. I can completely conceal my soul and who I care about. It usually happens with a guy. I can go a really long time without like sharing. I need to hold myself accountable by, this is why like early on in our relationship or early on in dating Justin, I invited him to like this big event. It was my sister's book event. I invited him to my sister's book event because there's going to be a bunch of people there, a bunch of my friends, a bunch of my family. And in my head, it was like, I need to be held accountable to be seen being myself, even if it's so he can choose to that he doesn't then like to then choose that he doesn't actually like me. But like, I have to put myself in situations where I'm being forced to be myself.
Yeah. Because otherwise you won't, if it's just the two of you on a date or in your apartment or something, like you have too much time, like I don't know what the word is.
I'm inclined to just become someone that they'll like.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've definitely done that before in relationships, to just like whittle myself down and kind of, you know, shave off the sharp edges and be someone that just fits into their life, somebody that they just like.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's interesting. The other interesting thing about it is like when two people in a relationship are a little bit at different paces, like I don't know how Justin is, but with my boyfriend, he's more like you, not in the sense that he will like shave off parts of himself to fit into somebody's life. He actually doesn't do that at all. And he's very like who he is all the time in the way that he like operates in the world and like goes about his days and stuff like that. But in terms of like opening up, it takes him a lot longer. And so now it's an interesting thing of like, I opened the doors, opened the gates of heaven and hell that are me from the get-go and like poured it all out onto him. And he only after some time started to slowly do that. And so I'm like naked and he's like starting to catch up slowly later. And that's an interesting dynamic as well, where like there's nothing wrong with it. It's who he is. Like I kind of like I can understand there are reasons that somebody who's like that is that way.
And
I'm like happy to be a person that they can slowly but surely like trust with more of themselves. But it's so different than myself. Like I was on date 3 asking for like, oh, and you feel this way, why do you feel that way? Oh, like tell me more about this thing. And he's like, who is this girl? But he stuck around because he liked it about me. But he also was like, that doesn't mean I can match it yet. So it's definitely something I think about a lot. I totally like get exactly what you're talking about. And I'm proud of you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. It's funny. I bet there is something to the dynamic that works for both of you on some level of like all those ways you balance each other. The fact that you're kind of different in that way. There's something fun to it. But
I agree. I think he probably a little bit needs somebody who's gonna like ask the questions and dig. But in order for him to feel comfortable like answering the questions honestly, I also need to be a person that's like laying it all out there too. So yeah, I don't know. It's rewarding once you like peel back the layers. The people are power washing my deck like it's their fucking job, because it is. And it is definitely their job, and it's the reason they're here. And it is, I hope it's not loud, but if it's been loud for the last like 5-10 minutes, I do apologize. Team, we got anything else to share? A little light note? You want to wrap it up?
I don't have any light notes.
What do you desire?
Let's wrap.
Let me look.
Y'all.
Cool, go for it, girl.
Wow, yo, dog. This was a WHATADO episode. I loved doing this. And I hope you guys continue to write in with WHATADOs. We can do this is a fun themed WHATADO. But if we touched on something that you sent in and you want to send your reactions or want to clarify who is giving head to who, DM us or tag us in a story, or maybe that one needs to be a private DM and
put it on your story. We're all about
fucking story.
Open book.
It's so funny.
If you're more of a Caroline, then you're gonna DM it to us and you're gonna be mysterious. And if you're more of a Jess, you're gonna put it on your story, and we leave space for both.
The only thing we don't leave space for is getting a wax. Please. Right. Everyone, everyone, if you listen to this podcast, you have to start getting lasered or keep your body hair. I don't really want anything else in between. So Jess, we're gonna have to talk.
We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. You can follow us on Instagram, Not For Everyone Pod with a number 4. Jess is Jess DeBakey. I'm on YouTube, Caroline Winkler. And this episode was edited by Abby Newhouse, ABI Newhouse. She's also on Instagram. We love you guys.
She's not. editing this one. But
what?
Our sweet prince is out of town enjoying life. So one of us will have to edit this one, but you should still DM her if you have any audio editing needs, because she is looking for more of this type of work. So find her on Instagram at Abby Newhouse. I'll put it in the description below so you can just click right into it and send her a message and ask her to help you, because she will, because she's a prince.
She's a prince. Love you guys.
TTYL. Bye.